cat sits across the room from you, tail flicking, ears half back, eyes half closed, body loaf-shaped, whiskers pulled forward. And in this single moment, that cat is broadcasting 4, maybe 5, completely separate signals at the same time. Most people read 1, maybe 2. They miss the rest. And then they wonder why the cat in their life feels impossible to understand. The cat isn't impossible to understand. We've just been reading them wrong. Cat behavior isn't impossible to read. We've just been reading them wrong. And there's one framework that fixes it forever. Welcome to 9 Lives Watching. By the end of this video, you'll have one framework that lets you read any cat, yours, a stranger's, a stray's, on 3 channels at once. Chapter 1. Why cat behavior feels impossible. Here is the real reason you feel lost every time you try to read your cat. It's because every single time you've tried to decode them, you've been working with incomplete data. You see the purring, or you notice the tail swish, or you catch the slow blink, and you take that one signal, hold it up in isolation, and try to build a complete interpretation out of it. That's the mistake. Cats don't communicate on 1 channel. They communicate on 3 simultaneously. And unless you're reading all 3 at the exact same time, you're not actually reading the cat. You're guessing. Here is what that looks like in practice, and there's a good chance this has happened to you recently. Your cat is purring, loud, steady, clearly audible from across the room. You reach down to pet them. They bite you, hard. And in that moment, you're convinced cats are unpredictable, emotionally inconsistent, or just fundamentally mean on a species level. But here is what actually happened. The purring, that was channel 1, a body state signal. But channel 2 was telling a completely different story. The tail was lashing, fast and deliberate, side to side, not swaying, lashing. And channel 3, the ears, had rotated halfway back before your hand even descended. If you'd been reading all 3 channels in that moment, the message was unambiguous. I am overstimulated, I am escalating, and I need you to stop right now. The purring wasn't contentment. It was 1 note in a 3-note chord. The notes you missed changed everything. That is the single channel reading mistake. And almost every cat owner in the world makes it constantly. By chapter 4, you'll be reading all 3 at the same time. But first, you have to understand exactly what those 3 channels are, and why each one carries information the others can't. Chapter 2. The 3-channel stack. This is the framework. The one concept that transforms how to read cat behavior from guesswork into genuine literacy. Ethologist Dr. John Bradshaw spent years building a comprehensive ethogram of feline communication, and what his research makes undeniably clear is that cats layer their signals rather than sending them sequentially. They broadcast a posture, a tail position, and an ear orientation simultaneously, every second they're awake. The 3 channels are body posture, tail position, and ear orientation. Each one carries independent emotional information. Each one can contradict the others, and each one updates at a different speed. That difference in update speed is the most important thing to understand about how the whole system works. Channel 1 is body posture. This is the slowest of the 3 channels and the most structurally revealing. It doesn't reflect what your cat is feeling in this exact second. It reflects the broader emotional state they've been in for the last several minutes, the macro condition underneath everything else. Dr. Bradshaw's 2013 ethogram research documented dozens of distinct postures, each carrying specific meaning. A cat in a tight loaf, body fully compact, all 4 paws tucked underneath them, no exposed belly, tail wrapped close, is sending a clear signal. I am comfortable, but I am conserving energy, not inviting contact, not seeking play, just settled into a contained equilibrium. A cat sitting upright with their chest open and weight shifted slightly forward is in an entirely different register. Engaged, curious, potentially interested in what you're doing. The body channel sets the scene. It's the baseline. Channel 2 is tail position. And this particular channel carries something remarkable buried inside it. Research strongly suggests that the upright vertical tail, held high and sometimes quivering at the tip, as a friendly greeting signal, is a behavior cats may have developed specifically in the context of living alongside humans, adapted from the posture kittens use approaching their mothers. A tail held straight up, quivering. That is the highest intensity greeting a cat can offer. They extend it toward the people they're closest to, toward cats they genuinely like, and its origins trace back to a kitten-to-mother communication that simply never got switched off in adulthood. A tail wrapped low and pressed tight against the body signals retreating anxiety. A tail lashing back and forth, and the distinction between a gentle sway and a genuine lash matters enormously here. Signals escalating irritation that is heading somewhere you don't want it to go. Each position is specific. The shift between them can happen in under 2 seconds. That's channel 2. Channel 3 is ear orientation, and this is the fastest signal in the entire 3-channel stack. A cat has 32 individual muscles in each ear. They can rotate 180 degrees independently of each other and independently of the head. That rotation is faster than a human can blink. When your cat's ears are facing forward and slightly fanned outward, they are relaxed and curious, open to the environment without being alarmed by it. When the ears swivel to the sides and flatten slightly, what's sometimes called airplane ears, something has shifted. Anxiety is rising. Conflict may be building. When the ears flatten fully back against the skull, that is not ambiguity. That is a threat state. But the absolutely crucial thing to understand about the ear channel is this. It updates almost continuously in real time. Body posture changes over minutes. Tail position changes over seconds. Ears change over fractions of a second. If you want to know what your cat is feeling right now, in this precise moment, the ears are telling you first, every single time. Chapter 3. Why single-channel reading always fails. The purring cat that bites is the most cited example of this problem, but the channels in conflict phenomenon runs far deeper. Think about a cat whose body is completely relaxed, low to the floor, weight distributed evenly, eyes soft and half closed. Classic channel 1 calm, but the ears are constantly pivoting backward and scanning. Body says settled. Ears say something is registering as wrong. Which channel do you believe? The ears. Almost always the ears. Because the body channel is reflecting an emotional state that may have been established 20 minutes ago. The ear channel is reflecting the emotional state of right now. When 2 channels disagree, the faster one is usually the more accurate report of present moment experience. That's not a rule of thumb. That's the architecture of the system itself. Here is another example of channels in conflict, and this one is particularly important for understanding cat body language in real interactions. A cat approaches you with their tail straight up, the highest intensity friendly signal in their entire vocabulary. But their body weight is shifted backward, subtly but noticeably. Tail says come closer. Body says I'm not fully certain. That cat is in active internal conflict. They want connection. They're also not completely sure. The correct response is not to immediately go to them. The correct response is to stay still and let them resolve that conflict on their own schedule. Cats that get pushed into contact while their channels are disagreeing are the cats that bite unexpectedly and then retreat. Chapter 4. How to read all 3 channels at once. This sounds like something that would require months of practice before it becomes useful. It doesn't. The technique is called the 5-second scan. When you look at a cat, you resist the instinct to analyze one signal and then move to the next. Instead, you train yourself to take in all 3 channels in a single pass before you draw any conclusion at all. Here is the sequence. First, what is the body doing? Compact and low, or open and forward weighted? Second, where is the tail? Raised, neutral, low, or actively moving? Third, where are the ears? Forward, sideways, rotating actively, or flat? 5 seconds, 3 reads. Then you synthesize. If 2 channels are saying the same thing and one is saying something different, weight the outlier heavily. It's the signal that's breaking from the pattern, and breaking signals matter. If all 3 are aligned, that's a clean read. That is how to understand cat behavior accurately on the very first attempt. If there's no cat in front of you at this moment, hold this in memory and apply it the next time there is. Because the first time you run the scan and all three channels snap into a coherent picture, something genuinely shifts. Cat behavior stops feeling like an unsolvable puzzle. It starts feeling like a language you've begun to understand. And once that transition happens, you look back at every interaction where you felt confused and realize they were being perfectly clear. They were communicating specifically, consistently, and with remarkable precision. You just didn't have the framework to receive the full signal. Now here's the part that changes everything. Chapter 5. The channel that lies. Not all three channels are equally honest signals. One of them, and this is where understanding cats gets genuinely fascinating, can be deliberately modified by the cat in order to influence your behavior. We're referring to vocalizations, which function as a fourth overlay running on top of the three-channel stack. And the specific example that proves this beyond any reasonable doubt is what researcher Dr. Karen McComb documented in 2009. The solicitation purr. Standard purring runs at a low, steady, consistent rumble. The solicitation purr is different in a very specific way. When your cat wants food, wants immediate attention, or needs something from you urgently, they modify the purr. They embed a high-frequency cry, measuring somewhere between 220 and 520 Hz, directly inside the low-frequency rumble. That embedded frequency is eerily, almost precisely close to the distress cry of a human infant. Why does that matter for reading cat body language and behavior accurately? Because it reveals something profound about how cats categorize their relationship with us. The solicitation purr is not accidental. It is a targeted signal developed over thousands of years of coevolution alongside humans. Your cat has learned, in the deepest possible sense, that you respond to urgency, that you respond to infant-adjacent distress frequencies, that your brain is biologically wired to register that embedded cry as something requiring a nurturing response. And here is the detail that proves this is deliberate rather than coincidental. This specialized acoustic technique is reserved exclusively for human interactions. This means your cat has developed a vocalization tool for managing interactions with you specifically, not because they're manipulative in a cynical sense, because they have learned that you are a specific kind of provider who can be reached through a specific kind of frequency. That is sophisticated cross-species communication. There is something worth sitting with in that. The cat sitting next to you right now isn't a single signal. They are a chord. 3 notes played simultaneously, every second of every day. And every time you felt confused by them, it wasn't because they were unclear. It was because you were only hearing one of the 3 notes. They have been talking to you the entire time, fluently, consistently, in a language built from body and tail and ear and vocalization, layered and simultaneous, broadcasting without pause. The confusion was never theirs. The gap was in your ability to receive the full signal. And once you understand that, once the 3-channel stack becomes the lens through which you approach every interaction, what you feel when you look at your cat shifts, the confusion doesn't just decrease, it transforms into something much closer to recognition. Chapter 6. The most misread cat behavior in the world. Your cat rolls onto their back, belly fully exposed to the ceiling, paws flopped lazily to the sides, head tilted. They look by every human instinct like they are inviting a belly rub. So you reach down, and they grab your arm with both front paws, launch both back feet into a rapid kick-scratch sequence, and bite your hand with an expression that suggests you have deeply offended them, and you feel genuinely betrayed. What did you do wrong? Here is the answer. The belly roll is not an invitation. It is a trust display. It is your cat communicating, on the body channel, that they feel safe enough in your presence to expose their most anatomically vulnerable region. That is not a request for physical contact. That is an expression, of profound comfort in your company. Now run the 5-second scan on that moment and see how different the picture becomes. Channel 1. Body, belly up, completely exposed, weight distributed passively across the back. That signals deep trust, not solicitation. Channel 2, tail, wrapped loosely to one side, not raised, not lashing. Neutral to mildly settled, no escalation signal present. Channel 3, ears, forward and slightly fanned outward as you approach. That's curiosity and openness. But watch what happens the moment your hand drops toward the belly. If those ears stay forward, the cat is genuinely open. If they begin rotating sideways as your hand descends, that is the real-time warning signal. The ears just told you, in the fastest channel available, that the approaching contact has crossed a threshold. The body set the baseline. The tail confirmed the emotional register. The ears told you precisely when the line appeared. Every piece of information you needed was available. All 3 channels were running the whole time. So what is the belly roll actually saying? Read correctly on all 3 channels at once. It's saying, I trust you entirely. I am at ease in your presence right now. I am not asking for interaction. I am showing you that you make me feel safe enough to be completely undefended. In the language of cat behavior, that statement is extraordinary. Cats are ambush predators built by evolution to protect their soft anatomy at almost any cost. The fact that their nervous system overrides that instinct around you, that your presence specifically has been so thoroughly associated with safety that they can lie with their most vulnerable surface facing upward without a threat response activating, is one of the most significant complements encoded in the entire feline communication system. Not because it means touch me here, because it means I trust you with the most unprotected part of me, myself. Those are not the same message. Confusing them is precisely the kind of error that single-channel reading produces every time. Chapter 7. Your first 3-channel read tonight. Here is how you actually apply this framework with the real cat in your real life, starting today. Find somewhere quiet and sit down. Don't call to them. Don't reach toward them. Don't do anything to initiate. Just be present in the space and let them settle. When they find a position and hold it, run the scan. Start with the body. What shape are they holding? Compact and contained, or open and forward-leaning? Then go to the tail. Where is it sitting, and is it static or active? High, neutral, low, or moving? Then read the ears. Forward, angled outward, rotating continuously, or beginning to flatten. Synthesize all 3 into a single coherent picture. Then hold that picture against whatever you were about to do next. Were you about to initiate contact? Do the ears and tail both support that? Were you about to leave the room? Does the tail position suggest they want you to stay? The 3 channels answer those questions directly and specifically. You just have to ask all 3 simultaneously. The more consistently you practice this, the faster the process becomes. Within a week of deliberate application, the 5-second scan stops requiring conscious attention. It starts happening automatically. You walk into a room, you see your cat, and before you've finished a single conscious thought, you've read the body, the tail, and the ears, and you already know whether to approach or whether to let them come to you. That is what genuine fluency in cat body language actually feels like from the inside. Not a checklist you run through methodically. Not a formula you consult before every interaction. A fluid, nearly instantaneous read of a 3-part simultaneous signal that your cat has been broadcasting throughout your entire relationship together. And the thing worth understanding about building that fluency is this. You're not learning something new about your cat. You're finally learning to hear what they have always been saying. Nothing about them has changed. Your ability to receive the signal has. Cat behavior isn't impossible to read. It never was. We were just trying to read a 3-channel signal on 1 channel, and missing 2/3 of the conversation every single time. And the next time the cat in your life does something that confuses you, a purr that turns into a bite, a roll that turns into a swipe, a stare that turns into a sprint, pause for a second. Don't ask what they're doing. Ask what all 3 channels are saying at the same time. The answer has always been there. We just hadn't been taught how to listen.